Sunday here at CWL Anaheim, presented by the PlayStation 4, bringing you guys coverage, of course, here from the Bravo stage. Myself, Lando, as well as Fox, getting ready to guide you guys through a loser's bracket matchup taking place between OpTic Gaming and Rise Nation.
Yes, this is an elimination match. These are two teams that have made it all the way through to the last day of the tournament. OpTic Gaming has been undefeated in map count up until their matchup against Luminosity, which is where they found themselves here facing off against Rise for their tournament life on the line. So we're going to take you through a quick walkthrough of some of the maps in this series.
Indeed, of course, our first map going to be taking place on Scorch for some hardpoint. Map number 2 will be Throwback Search and Destroy. For map number 3, Precinct Uplink. And if it comes down to it, Throwback Hardpoint for map number 4. And if it comes down to that very, very intense Game 5, it will be Retaliation, Search, and Destroy. Let's go and talk about our first map, Fox. When it comes down to Scorch Hardpoint, what should we be expecting as far as how this map kind of plays, and what are some players to be looking at based on how this map plays for either side, OpTic and Rise?
Well, really, all eyes have to be on the side of Formal and Scump for OpTic Gaming. Right now, we've seen Formal transitioning from that NV4 role over to the K-Bar, letting Crim6 take that NV4 role. They felt that it made more sense and that he was the more aggressive player and that he would have more versatility to do what he would like to do. And you have Scump, one of the best submachine gun players of all time, running the ERAD on a map like this. That's going to be devastating.
Absolutely. Well, of course, we do need to highlight some of the players from Rise Nation. Definitely be looking at Aqua. I think it's fair to say this guy has been slaying out for his squad, not just for this tournament, but throughout the entire season of Infinite Warfare. Facento has been putting up some big numbers along with Felony as well. So we'll see if Rise Nation can try and hold on to what should be a very heavily slaying heavy battle between both of these squads. It's time to load in, and we're going to hop on board with the Ginger Ninja himself, Scump, to round out this game number 1.
Yeah, and this OpTic Gaming roster, up until recently, they're not used to playing from that loser's bracket, right? There have been teams such as Luminosity Gaming and E United finally coming up and challenging them, and now we're seeing Rise Nation, another roster that was able to challenge them quite a bit last year in Black Ops 3, facing off here at CWL Anaheim. The kills are opening up in favor of OpTic. Scump coming through with the NV4 is actually being a difference maker here on middle map, and now all that's left is to read where the new spawns from Rise Nation are coming from. They're pouring in from Cave and the Warehouse onto mid.
Only watching through the wall runs, of course, trying to advance their position scoreless so far. Just as I say, that Rise Nation finally able to at least get a few seconds on the board. Facento now trying to lock down some time, but Scump fires actually back with 2 quick kills. And it looks like there's going to be a team fight 1 there by the side of Rise Nation, but only for the time being, as rotation will start to go back toward Turbine. Is going to be the side of OpTic Gaming, who's currently in possession of those spawns.
So Scump starts this game off 4-0. That's going to award him a Scarab here, and you see him in position, still running that NV4 off the break. He has yet to switch that class, finding lots of initial kills here. The aggression comes in onto Elbow, and he's overwhelmed by the high-flying players of Rise Nation.
Yeah, very smart play there from Rise Nation, working as a unit to try and take down the side of OpTic Game. They're going to have to use that quite a bit if they want to take down this particular squad. Scump running from the skies yet again, this time with an ERAD in hand, not going to play too much favor toward him. And now Crim6 challenging in a 1-on-2 gunfight, not going to work out. Rise Nation doing a great job at singling out every OpTic player there.
Yeah, so that was a really good push from them. They hit that high wall run, but then they also sent some players coming low. So Scump can't target all of them at once, especially with different levels of elevation. Really tough gunfight to win, especially when you're outnumbered. So let's see how OpTic Gaming opts to push this. It looks like with this just this little bit of time left, they're actually going to give it up to Rise Nation and try and rotate over to the big 60 hardpoint. That is the hangar here on the top right corner of your mini-map. They'll be met by only one Rise Nation player. That's going to be Facento, who's trying to sit in a corner and stay alive, but Karma catches him, and that's going to leave them a little staggered and give OpTic Gaming a bit more time on this new hill.
And OpTic does, like you said, have that rotation here over toward hangar. I noticed that Felony currently sitting on that 4 spree. Aqua as well had that a little bit of a 4 spree going in his way also. So they are going to have some streaks to work with if they want to try to use those to break this particular hard point. It would be the time to do it. Formal shutting down Felony through hallway. And it looks like the rotation coming toward the back. That's actually going to be the Rise Nation player starting to funnel in, but Scump's holding his angle toward the back. Great start here from Scump, being able to use both the MV4 and ERAD. I mean, 2 completely different weapons, and it seems to not really be making him struggle at all.
Right, we're seeing OpTic Gaming with their attempt on a big 60 hardpoint. So far, they have been unbreakable in their setup. Rise Nation, they're trying to push in from the front, but you see the green wall is just too strong. They can't break through it. And now the last player in hallway has to wait for his final teammates to spawn up from security and push with him. But he dies alone. So again, we have Rise Nation on another staggered push into an OpTic Gaming setup.
And when I did cast over Rise Nation, actually earlier on in this tournament, this is a hill where they held almost perfectly, holding it down inside a drill. There's been a few teams who've kind of been doing a great job at locking down hard points that aren't always the expected ones. When it comes down to the money hills, of course, you expect squads to be holding those down. Those were heavily contested. We've actually seen teams like Rise Nation, like FaZe and E United as well, have done a great job at kind of holding those off hills, and we'll see what Rise Nation can try and do, holding down some of the early seconds and trying to get back in this game. Scarabs, everything used, but no, OpTic is forcing their way on. Karma being one of the front lines. He'll drop quick, but 3 go down for the side of Rise Nation, and it looks like it's going to be player number 8. That's going to be Facento trying to hold the line for his squad for as much as possible, but Scump is there for the challenge, and OpTic Gaming now with a little bit of a lead. More streaks beginning to come down, this time from Felony.
So that was a 3-on-3 gunfight right there. Rise Nation was set up well on top of Drill, but OpTic Gaming didn't care and came straight through with a very clean break. Rise Nation off the spawn. You can see they're fighting back a bit here because they're spawning towards Turbine. That's the favorable side for this hill, so they do have a bit of an advantage. Still, OpTic Gaming finds himself leading by about 10 seconds, and Rise is looking to close that gap.
And Rise getting very close to taking the lead right now. Of course, constant flanks and a great pinch coming in there from both Felony and Looney throughout that hard point, of course, as we get ready to reset here back toward that middle bridge. It will be a slim advantage for the side of Rise Nation. About 5 or 6 points at that. Could definitely be changed in a matter of moments.
Thought he was going to win that gunfight there, but Scump getting the better of him. Karma and Scump pushing that E-Red pressure towards mid, but they're actually going to back up a little bit. He feels the Rise Nation push coming, and being outnumbered, you see Looney there is able to find the double kill with the supporting cast of 2 Rise Nation players just next to him. Felony still has access to the Scarab. No reason to use it just yet. They're still trying to establish some kind of map control here, and Aqua dies as soon as he gets into the engagement.
GD does. Gaming players trying to force the issue forward right now. It looks like it's not going to be working out for them toward the best as far as the spawns are considered. Of course, 20 seconds going down when it comes down toward bridge, and they could actually even tie this game up. But like we said, player number 1, that's going to be Crim6. A pretty decent angle player just to his right. Question, can he win the gunfight? Yes, that's a big gunfight one. And player number 2 actually on the opposite side, that's going to be Scump wins the gunfight as well. So the rotation battle being won by both Crim6 and Scump, guaranteeing their team now huge spawns when it comes down to Turbine here, Fox.
Yes, Turbine spawns are going to be a huge deal for these next 60 seconds. Of course, it's another money hill. It's our second time at this one. The rest of OpTic Gaming was actually pushed up pretty far from Scump. They were holding more towards middle map, but that's fine. Because Scump has these spawns, when they die, they're just going to spawn up right on top of him and can get into phase 2 of their setup. Now, Rise Nation staggered way across the map. You see one in warehouse, one in security, one still fiddling around in cave. They're in no position for a break right now.
Yeah, and Aqua's going to be trying to challenge this one and not really going to look too likely. Of course, picking up some kills left and right.
What are they doing?
Pretty decent, but nice shot there coming in from Aqua. Unfortunately, can't pick up the kill in the end, but a nice 1v1 engagement. Actually won there for Looney, so he'll be able to at least grab what should be quite a few seconds. Player number 4, the last one to challenge. His question is formal try, and does he back up? Looks like he tries to back up, but it looks like a Rise Nation player will be there for the stop there. So last few seconds going over to Turbine as we rotate here back over toward Hangar.
So I thought for sure that Looney was going to be caught on that flank, but it seems like he caught them off guard. The distraction of the rest of the Rise Nation players ended up paying off and awarding them with some scrap time due to the gunfight win from Looney. So now, as we rotate over to another Big 60 hardpoint, we see OpTic Gaming finds himself in the initial setup again, while Rise Nation is outnumbered and out of position, still getting staggered all across the map. Look at your mini-map and see how far apart these guys are. They seem to be on different waves right now.
I mean, when it comes into hardpoint, you have to force the issue as a team, and this hill does not make it any easier. Such small corridors to try and enter into, and especially when it comes into the slang ability that OpTic Gaming presents, you're just walking into a reticle at every single point of view, and OpTic is doing a great job at locking down quite a bit of seconds right now in Hangar. And at this point, Fox, I mean, what is Rise Nation trying to do? Is it the rotation, or they need to try to fight this last second battle?
It seems like they keep trying to have someone sit in a corner and just wait, right? Sit close to the enemy team setup and wait, but they can't seem to do it. And this is going to be definitely their last attempt at a push. Should the players die, they definitely just want to get set up around Drill. It looks like that's what Facento's going to do. They get a good spawn for it, so they need to just get a good setup and find this hill time.
Turbine to Hangar, a lot of time being granted for Optical Rise Nation. You're going to need a pretty decently sized hold here when it comes down to Drill and Foremost. Trying to delay that one. FTL jump gets rocked, quickly falls after that one. Gunfights continuing to go down throughout the map, but it looks like it's going to be OpTic Gaming who actually is going to find some easy control for the time. Scump receiving shots and actually hearing calls from either side. Players coming in from the opposite angle here toward Drill, and it looks like it is going to be Formal, the last alive toward that hard point, excuse me, as it will be Rise Nation finally getting some much needed seconds.
All of Rise Nation rushing in from Cave. They find themselves in control of Drill, but OpTic Gaming does have the stronger side of this hill, which is the security side. Or, well, typically was one of the stronger sides. Now we're seeing more teams prefer Medic. But regardless, they're coming in from that side. They do find the time on the hard point, and Rise Nation's being pushed out towards Cave.
This one's starting to look less and less likely if you're a Rise Nation fan, but crazier things have happened in the past. But looks like the last 5 seconds being granted off the side of Drill, and it will be going to OpTic Gaming as well. Rotation coming back in here toward that middle side bridge. Karma trying to clear out his base. Last player alive is going to be Felony there, and Karma just can't finish off the gunfight. And it looks like it is going to be only 10 more seconds needed. A nice 4 down for Rise Nation, but it might be too little, too late.
Rise Nation trying to take control of mid-map. They realize a lot of the OpTic players will be coming from Turbine side. Aqua looking for that first engagement, ends up finding a second one, and he can't connect with shots on both of those players. So now, OpTic Gaming winning those gunfights should be able to close out the map here unless the camo play from Aqua comes in, but not enough time. OpTic closes out map 1, and the OpTic fans around Bravo Station are letting them hear it.
They absolutely are a pretty tightly contested game toward the beginning, but we end up seeing that hangar control, that turbine, the money hills for this map definitely go in OpTic's way. That's when they started to, in some cases, grab that massive point advantage. And it's difficult when you're obviously playing against a side like OpTic Gaming. It's not just they're good at rotating, they're also a very talented gun skill team as well.
Yeah.
So not an easy play there from the side of Rise Nation, but OpTic Gaming takes the hard point, as I would most likely predict that would take place.
Yeah, and it's also not easy when you're getting caught out by yourself and then your team has to fight 3 versus 4, or, you know, a play that you were trying to set up was getting foiled from the get-go. Really difficult hard point to win against a difficult hard point team, so OpTic Gaming will take that one. And now we move into Throwback Search and Destroy. The players on Rise Nation are some very storied Search and Destroy players, so I do want to highlight what these guys are capable of in this game mode. They've been able to do well in their Stage 1 playoffs group in this game mode as well, so I do look to see them make a little bit of noise. However, on the side of OpTic Gaming, it seems like even though they had that poor placing at Stage 1, I still feel like this team hasn't fallen off and too hard, right? They're still a championship caliber team. They still definitely have the capability of winning this event.
Oh, yeah.
It just seems like there's some new challenges afoot in the form of Luminosity Gaming, right?
Yeah, man. It seems like, honestly, I think to kind of bring up and kind of give a little bit of a story as the players actually get ready to load in here for map number 2. I think it was a little bit of an awkward play, and I think I actually ended up talking to Proofy inside of the green room, and he was kind of going over a few of the issues that OpTic Gaming was having, and it was like, you know, they had a pretty easy pool, to be fair. I mean, they had 3-0ing, 4-0ing, 12-0ing their entire pool, not even dropping one map, but then their first matchup is against one of the top teams in the entire game in the side of Luminosity. So in some cases, I think it was kind of a caught-off guard type of spot for them. It's going from, you know, a pretty easy situation to having to be at your very best. But I think it's also kind of a question to the OpTic Gaming players as well, because there's been a lot of interviews, a lot of talk after that fourth place finish at playoffs. Is that have the teams caught up yet again? Is this kind of a replication from last year at Black Ops 3, where they started off the year absolutely incredible? You know, they were winning hard points like crazy, and then all of a sudden teams start to catch up.
Yeah, it really seems like that is the case. I mean, they had a very easy beginning to their tournament, so they're going to boast an impressive map win percentage of 12-0, 100%. And in the moment they face any sort of a challenge, they go to Game 5, get knocked to the loser's bracket in the first round of the bracket stage. However, OpTic Gaming is definitely a team that has been able to make these loser bracket runs in the past, so I do look to see them put up a fight here before they go out or before they win the tournament. Who knows? This is definitely a team of championship caliber form. So in this matchup against Rise Nation, we're getting into the Search and Destroy. I still got to say that it's favoring OpTic Gaming. I think they're the stronger team. They haven't exactly had the best practice over the past 2 days in terms of their tournament matchups, but I don't think that's going to slow them down in a meaningful way in this series specifically.
Okay, so you got OpTic Gaming coming in this map number 2?
I do.
Okay, I can definitely go along with that. I think one thing that we need to be looking out for Rise Nation is definitely kind of like that. We said that prior S&D, play that these guys are known for. We talked about guys like Felony. I mean, previously an S&D star for the longest time, kind of risen through the competitive scene, and obviously found his way on a top squad in Rise Nation later throughout his career, and obviously he's currently on them now. But these guys have made their story throughout Search and Destroy, even back in the day throughout Advanced Warfare, both Vicento and Aqua as well, finishing second, or actually runners-up at AW Champs, was because of that Search and Destroy play. So these guys have been in this situation before. They've been down. They're pretty familiar with the OpTic Gaming guys, I think, at this point, it's fair to say. So, well, I also do favor OpTic Gaming. I think if this was, in some cases, a map, if after the first 2 maps and you were to tell me that it's 1-1, I would expect to see Rise Station most likely take the Search and Destroy.
And one thing you got to keep into account, too, is that these guys are playing on the Bravo Station. They're in a sea of OpTic Gaming fans, so round after round, whenever Formal Scump, Crim, Karma do anything of significance, Rise Nation will hear about it a second time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's got to be stressful. That's got to be working at your mind as you're playing in the game. I mean, something similar happened just last year with a very similar roster against OpTic Gaming. They were upset. It hurt them throughout the rest of the map, and they ended up losing it. So
yeah, I think every time I I see like an OpTic player like adjust their headset, the crowd absolutely goes wild. So I mean, they can just do about anything, and the crowd will definitely give them some feedback. So like we said, guys, map number 2 loading up. OpTic taking map number 1 in pretty dominant fashion. We'll see if the Search and Destroy can be the same or if Rise Nation can respond. Fox, I want to know what players should we be looking at the start of this first round?
Well, as you mentioned, anything the OpTic Gaming roster does tends to be pretty ridiculous. So I think I'm looking for Scump. The moment he scratches his ear, I'm about to go crazy, right?
Absolutely.
No, but OpTic's pushing up towards mid. We do have Scump playing a close quarters angle with the E-Rat alongside Crimsix, and they're going to win a lot of these gunfights, and Scump wins the one against his teammate as he team kills Crimsix, and Aqua is left all alone in a 1 versus 3 on the opposite side of the map.
It's not going to be an easy round for Aqua, but trying to catch these players one by one off guard. Fires a few shots in the side of Formal, but regardless, can't pick him up in the end. OpTic Gaming most likely knowing an idea as far as the positioning is from Aqua as they're actually getting ready to be met up. Most likely not a case where Aqua is going to walk away with this gunfight. That's exactly what's going to happen. As it's going to be OpTic Gaming taking round number 1. 3 of those kills coming with E-Rads, actually 4 of them.
Now we're seeing Formal run the E-Rad quite a bit this weekend in a lot of these engagements. And he definitely has been looking really strong. I mean, even on maps specifically like Frost Uplink, where you see 2 and 3 E-Rads pretty frequently, just it's odd seeing our main AR player, someone that takes priority with that assault rifle ever since Call of Duty Ghosts for any roster he's been on, running one of the more aggressive submachine guns in the game. So it's been interesting to note throughout the weekend there. And it looks like Rise Nation will be the team to push up towards middle train here. Getting tagged up by the grenade, Formal sees the damage incoming and finishes the job with the NV4. That's a big kill to open up with. Rise Nation responds with 2, but Landon, the gunfights are still going down around mid as no one has been able to get map control.
They have not. Looney trying to win this 1v1 engagement, but it's not going to go his way. Scump will close that one out in a 2-on-1 situation. OpTic Gaming now taking 2 rounds in a row, but we do talk about the beginning of that round. Formal with that MV4 near top. I mean, he almost actually has a sniper rifle with that thing. It's so hard to challenge him. When you realize that he's in a spot like that, it's almost like you just got to kind of call him out, and it's like, guys, we need to like engage on him in some way, because I'm not going to do it because this guy's just too good up top.
Yeah, and those E-Rad players jumping up to try and challenge him mid-range. If you're looking for a fight with Formal's NV4 mid-range and you have a submachine gun, you're going to have a bad time. But we see them get punished for it very swiftly there, and we're looking over towards Bike Path for our next set of engagements.
Ooh, and Formal finding a nice nade there on Felony. Just like that, you had to get another situation where the Rise Nation players are questioning, how are they dying so quickly? How are we dying this fast? And now Facento left in a 1-on-3 scenario with an all to do. He needs to get some momentum for his squad after losing that round number 1. Actually spots 2 players, finds Crimsix. He's able to back inside of Bowling. At least a dip out for the time being, but this is a situation where he's going to have to pick these players off, and he is going to be on the offensive as well. So we'll see. Actually, I'm going to go on board with Karma. Does he spot that bomb is the question. I don't believe he does. So Cinto still on the offensive, going to have to make a big play here to get Rise Nation back.
And this is a situation that Facento's in. He wants to just find as many one-on-one engagements as he can. That's why he ran all the way around the map to try and juke them out a little bit, catch them off guard. But you can see he couldn't find those ending shots there onto Karma, and the trade comes in. Formal's just able to take him down.
Do you think it's the aggression, or do you think it's just Rise Nation not playing together as a squad, the reasoning why we've seen OpTic take these first 3 rounds this quick?
I mean, we're seeing OpTic get those first bloods really quickly, and it usually comes in a pair of 2s, right? And we're also just in the early stages of the search and destroy, so there's enough time for Rise Nation to respond, but there's just 2 kills happening at the same time every round, and that's tough to work through.
Absolutely. Well, this could be a swing round in some cases. You see a few players using those aerial line sights from the side of Rise Nation. Shots being exchanged early, but no kills going down. Just as I say that, Karma, the bomb carrier, ends up dropping. Nice first blood found from Looney, but quickly responded there from Crimsix. Scump spawning one over toward that side. Might try to re-engage. Aqua sitting toward that back 11. Felony starting to back up after receiving some shots. 2-on-3, man disadvantage yet again for the side of Rise Nation. Formal getting that bomb down, and he will be only 50 points away from that Scarab.
He's going to find himself a Scarab. He still has the FTL jump to escape if he needs to, but Rise Nation nowhere to be found, except Felony catches Crimsix. There's going to be some OpTic Gaming players looking for him here around middle map, but they actually lose him, and they're finding themselves in a 1 versus 2 engagement. Scump caught off alone, gets taken down by Aqua and Felony, and now it's all left to Formal. 50 points from the Scarab. He's trying to make it work, trying to make it happen. Double teamed, and no. He does not connect.
Yeah, the 2 versus 3 coming in there from Rise Nation. Greatly played from them as well. Back-to-back rounds where they've come in a position to clutch, and they're at least able to get this one down. A major swing round. Rise Nation finally getting some signs of life. Granted, it wasn't a crazy amount, but at least they got it when they needed to the most. You're going to see Felony. Nice shots there, of course, earlier ones coming in from Aqua. Just needed one more bullet to shut down Formal. And with that, that's going to be the defuse.
And I just wanted to clarify there, Formal did not get the Scarab from the bomb plant. He will not have score streaks going into this round. He does, however, have access to the FTL jump, as the remainder of his team and the remainder of the players in the lobby are still halfway to their payloads. FTL jump, of course, filling up a lot faster, opening gunfights going down on middle map.
Gene Aqua already left in a 1 versus 1. A pretty quick round, and Aqua's going to clutch up the 1 versus 2. Big play there coming in from Yuli as he's able to find both of those players. Medium range with the NV4. This is why this man can be so lethal. Finds one, quickly turns on Formal as well. Great communication, most likely, and a great intuition as well.
Right.
That's now going to grant Rise Nation 2 rounds in a row. They're back in this one.
Yeah, he hesitates any longer, and the odds of him winning that round go down significantly. I think Formal would have been able to hunt him down, but he reads the jump out of the window and is able to take him down with a clean double kill. So let's look at this through the eyes of OpTic Gaming. As they are on the offensive side, they're going to be more active on this bomb site here. You see they're only met by 1 Rise Nation player, as the rest of them wrap back over from Lime towards Barn. And I think OpTic is sniffing that right out, and they want no part. They want no part of that one, Landon.
They do not at all. So, of course, you see the bomb rotation here coming over toward A. Scarab still curious as he's not found anyone as of yet, kind of making its way over toward A now, as, of course, that one's finally going to be destroyed. So with that, Rise Nation has realized that rotation over toward A is most likely one that has happened, and Karma tossing a nade out. Rise Nation now knows that bomb is going here toward A, it seems. So Karma getting that bomb down. We'll see how Rise Nation vends to try and play this one with no one dropping yet. We'll see how the retake works out.
All right, so there are some Rise Nation players on the opposite side of the street, but OpTic Gaming has the advantage of playing around that bus for the long range. That's why you see Facento here trying to get some distance, doesn't check his corners, and Karma punishes him for it. Aqua is able to win the next engagement, although he can't push up because he's so tagged up. Formal working off of that communication finds him, and we're seeing the coordination from OpTic Gaming this round paying off for them.
Balloony 1 versus 3. Doesn't have a whole lot of time left to work with to try and get that defuse down. Or to get the defuse off, excuse me. And this one is just not looking likely anymore. This is going to be another round here for the side of OpTic Gaming. Looney just trying to get as many kills potentially toward those score streaks, toward that payload as possible. So he'll maybe shut down Formal, but no. Formal actually used the FTL jump to try and stay alive, and actually he's going to blow up due to the bomb there. So that's a big play in some cases. Formal rocks the FTL jump to try and escape the gunfight. That equals that player, I believe it was Looney, who ends up going down to the bomb, and Karma gets a kill there because he planted the bomb down.
Yeah, and Formal was trying to stay alive because of the streak that he was on. He had 2 kills right there. So with the bomb detonation and the kill going to Karma, that's going to be more towards his score streaks as well.
It's kind of a blessing in disguise there if you're Karma. Awesome. It doesn't normally happen, but thank you, Formal. Thank you for staying alive there, pal.
You know Karma's laughing that off right now. Let's take a look at Formal and see some of his progress to his score streaks just for a second. Just 250 points away. He's going to be looking over mid. He's been the warden of mid lane thus far. But a lot of the gunfights are going down here as Rise Nation makes an offensive front towards the barn at the B bomb site. Felony has the bomb, but can't really make too many moves towards the objective just yet. He's able to take down Formal, but no one from OpTic Gaming is there to trade. So Felony lives to fight another gunfight here.
He does indeed. Aqua does have that active camo. Of course, we do talk about the streaks as well. The Scarab earned, but active camo much more important. Definitely wouldn't be a awful decision to try and use that if he is in a position that needs for it to come up. Players coming toward the back, both Crim6 and Karma, 2 versus 2. A huge round when it comes down to this. If you are Rise Nation, just to try and bring yourself back into this game, cannot allow OpTic to get toward that map point. Karma then making his way through Grandma's along with Crim6. Gunfight's getting ready to be engaged here. Player number 1 toward the back is going to be Felony. Does he call out? Does he spot Crim6? Yes, he does. Firing some shots. Trigger discipline. Not exactly found there. Crim6 is going to realize those shots are starting to come in. 2v2. How does this one play out? How does it start to go? But Aqua is now going to be left all by himself. Felony ends up dropping, but can he stay alive? Yes, Aqua actually rocks the active camo, waiting for Crim6 to try and engage, and Aqua just go ahead and backs out.
Oh, that's communication.
And this isn't going to be enough
there.
time for Crim6 to actually get the defuse off. This one should be one from Aqua, but can Crim6 win the gunfight? No, it's not going to happen. The active camo comes in, the 1 versus 2 from Aqua, as he's going to clutch in a number of different situations. He needed a payload. but it's definitely a worthy one to use at this point.
So big play from Aqua right there. He knew for the second gunfight he was absolutely going to have to pop camo, even if he didn't get into the gun engagement. Karma definitely saw him use the camo and is going to call that out to Crimsix, but it still works out for Aqua either way. You can run that clock down. So great play from him in what is another 1 versus 2 clutch this game.
Aqua trying to keep his team in it. Of course, you see 9-4 on the other side. Formal 10-4 for OpTic Gaming. This is where he shines, the NV4 at range. So he'll actually get picked off. Nice shots there from Felny. So he'll pick up Formal, bringing this one back to a level playing field, but only just for a minute. Facento shutting down Crimsix. 2 versus 2. Yet again, now make it a 1 versus 2. Nice pick there coming in from Scump on Aqua. Now we'll see if Facento can try to replicate Aqua's performance in 1 versus 2 situations.
Yeah, I mean, Aqua, I don't know if he's going to be able to do that when they are on very opposite fronts in terms of performance in the Search and Destroy so far. That's why we saw Aqua able to use his camo so early on, and you see right there with Facento being outnumbered, he's not exactly going to contribute what Aqua's been able to put up in the past couple of rounds. Being outnumbered, he should fall very quickly to Scump.
5 rounds to 3. OpTic Gaming only needed 1 more to make this a 2-0 advantage in favor of them. Of course, this is a best of 5, so they at least need to take the next uplink. But Rise Nation, they need to hold on to this. They cannot be down 2-0 coming into an uplink versus a very talented slaying team like this. But here comes the round 2 drop immediately. Now make it all 3 following Aqua, the last alive. Granted, he's done it before, but can he do it again? Can he at least let Rise Nation stay up a little bit longer? Players coming from every which angle, but actually able to escape for the time. Aqua 10-5. Can you make it 12-5 and try and stay alive for another time? Finds one, tries to find the second, but it's not going to be there. OpTic Gaming will clutch up in a one-on-one situation. Aqua with an all to do and just couldn't find that last player. Such a difficult angle to try and make it happen, but Formal and Aqua, both players leading in kills for their team, and of course Formal coming out on top. That's going to be OpTic Gaming now, who takes the advantage yet again in this series, as they're now going to be up 2-0.
Landon, I think there has to be at least 4 of those 6 rounds that OpTic Gaming won, where they just opened up with 2 and 3 kills on middle map. They were Rise Nation was not winning those gunfights, and obviously OpTic Gaming, when they find those engagements, they're just going to work their way into the Rise Nation base. They can set up flanks, they can continue to be aggressive right in their face. It was ridiculous, but we see OpTic Gaming is leading 2-0 against Rise Nation in this elimination match at CWL Anaheim. So we're going to see how this series concludes after this commercial break. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everyone, to CWL Anaheim Open, presented by the PlayStation 4. Myself, Lando, as well as Fox, currently guiding you guys through a loser's bracket matchup going on between OpTic Gaming and Rise Nation. As we get ready to head in toward map number 3, we kind of talk about what has been this series so far. And to be honest with you, Fox, it has been destruction from the side of OpTic.
Yeah, and this search and destroy is very one-sided. Rise Nation didn't have any signs of life outside of what we saw from Aqua, who had two 1v2 clutches that game that were definitely impressive throughout the map, but it just wasn't enough for them to win. A lot of those mid-map engagements are going for them. Now, we also backtrack a little bit. Let's take a look at the hard point. That was a bit more competitive up until the middle stages of the map. It wasn't really anyone in particular taking over. It was just OpTic Gaming as a team winning a lot of these team fights, staggering Rise Nation, wasting more of their time. And hardpoint, as you know, is a very time-based game mode, so that's going to be difficult for them to come back from, and they're going to find themselves up in this series 2-0. Rise Nation fans out there, you have to cheer on your team. They are one map away from elimination, and OpTic Gaming, the North American Call of Duty World League juggernaut, with some of the most winningest players on the roster, look to be in a good form to move on to the rest of the tournament.
They do indeed, and of course, an uplink in the past has been where Rise Nation at times, this core group of guys, has succeeded, but it's going to be a very difficult task when it comes into facing off against this OpTic Gaming lineup. I can actually recall a few times back when OpTic Gaming had been in previous MLG tournaments so far through Infinite Warfare, where actually Precinct Uplink was one of the maps where they would start to kind of rival on for it. I believe they ended up taking on Elevate 2 different times where Precinct Uplink came up in the app, so they kind of ran through them. So this is a map that OpTic Gaming is kind of used to playing when their backs are against the wall as far as the loser's bracket is considered. So with that, I think they're pretty confident when it comes down to this, but I think it's a good idea to kind of talk about what does Rise Nation need to do. It's not what OpTic Gaming can do, because we know what they're going to try and provide. The slang, everything, the communication, the teamwork that they have is absolutely unparalleled at times. What do you think Rise Nation has to do? Who needs to step up? How does the map work? I want to kind of dive into this as the map gets ready to load in, because it's an interesting discussion. And I think a lot of people are curious, like, how do you beat this OpTic Gaming team when they're up 2-0? When they have the confidence, it's difficult to take them down. But in your opinion, what do we need to see from Rise Nation to at least force them at number 4?
Well, the Rise Nation, I think we just need to see more slaying potential from the team, right? We're not seeing them win these crucial gunfights, and then we're seeing them fight things outnumbered. And so actually, we could take a look at some of their statistics from this series. We had the KPM and such up on screen for you guys to take a look at. If you look at it on the side of Scump, he's going to have a 1.22 KD in hardpoint versus Aqua's 1.07. So these are two of the better respawn players in the lobby. This is our G Fuel key player matchup, and that's why we're highlighting just how strong these guys can be. You've seen what Aqua's been able to do in Search and Destroy, boasting that 1.24 KD. We saw that in the Search and Destroy we just played. He had those two massive 1v2 plays, and it just wasn't enough for his team to win. So while this is our key player matchup, we still need to see a full team effort from Rise Nation if they want the hopes of bringing down OpTic and reverse sweeping.
Oh, for sure. And one thing that we obviously need to talk about is the uplink KDs for both of these players. 1.22 there from Scump, of course, the mode that we're getting ready to head into, and a 1.19 there from Aqua. Of course, your main slayers when it comes down to it. And that's obviously our key player matchup presented there by G Fuel. So with that, those are definitely two slayers to be looking at when it comes down to this matchup. We obviously talked about the lack of slang that Rise Nation has had at times, and when it comes down to Precinct, we talked about the MV4 play with Aqua up to this point. I mean, this could definitely be another map where we see him have another all-star performance, but will it be enough is the question for his squad, because in the past, it hasn't been.
Yeah, and even when Rise Nation was back in Black Ops 3 and having their struggles in Uplink, Aqua was actually one of the higher statistic players in KD in Uplink, and his team still struggled in all respawns and Uplink specifically. So I just don't know what to expect from them. This is going to be a very difficult map for them to win. Their backs are against the walls. They're moments away from being eliminated from the tournament, and they're going up against one of the strongest respawn teams in the game that already is up 2-0 on them. So it's a tough thing to be looking down at.
Plus, they have thousands of fans who are literally right behind them right now, prowling on every single mistake
we're
that they
breaking
possibly
records
make.
with CWL Anaheim, aren't we?
We are indeed. We've got a crazy amount of fans watching this live. Of course, I want to thank you guys as well for watching online as well here at the Bravo stage. But still, it is time to hop in here toward our map number 3. It will be Uplink on Precinct. Can OpTic Gaming close out the 3-0 and continue on their loser's bracket run throughout Championship Sunday? Or will Rise Nation at least force the game number 4 and keep their hopes alive? That's going to be the question to be asking as we load in here toward the beginning moments of this first half I'm looking on board with Aqua, one of our key player matchups, of course, presented by G Fuel, to see how he can try and bring his team back, and is going to have that MV4 in hand, just as we thought.
And if you're Rise Nation, you're already scared the moment you walk in the venue and just see a sea of green, and then let alone the 4 players that are draped in green across the stage from you. So their backs are against the wall, one map away from elimination. Can they bounce back, clutch up and reverse sweep, or will OpTic Gaming close out the series? Formal finds the player that had the drone and is going to maintain middle map control, and this is going to be a big thing. If you can just keep a player here and remain a nuisance, the enemy team can't even get any offensive drives going.
Sure, and Carmen actually getting a nice melee there as 3 do fall quickly for the side of Rise Nation. Formal coming around the side. This is going to at least be a 1-point play, but Formal wants the 2-point dunk within 40 seconds. OpTic Gaming has already fired away 2 points and is already up by 1 advantage. So we're going to see what Rise Nation can try and provide, because the push is coming yet again here. Fox Crimsix now has the drone. There's no support from Rise Nation. They can't even get toward the drone at this point, and this is going to be another 2-point play in quick succession. Pass coming over toward Formal. They want to try and increase his streaks, and it looks like we have an issue. Odd play there from Rise Nation, but at least we can maybe try to get a reset. I don't know. I was trying to play that off like, oh, this is great, but looks like we did have a controller malfunction there for the side of Rise Nation. So OpTic, it looked pretty good. But
just a small tech issue. We're going to get these guys situated and taken care of in just a moment. I mean, in a tournament where we got the scuff booth and thousands of people with controls, I'm sure it's not going to be an issue, right? These guys will be fine in just a moment, but that uplink did not look too good for Rise Nation starting things out.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's the opposite of the way you want to start it out. You do not want to have OpTic Gaming rallying points against you in a game mode like uplink.
Right, and of course the controller malfunction could have came into play as the reason why we definitely did see that. But in that opening engagement, we saw Aqua going up against Crim6, and I don't think Aqua was the player who had a controller malfunction, because he was aiming down on Crim, and Crim just completely outgunned him there from that slight angle, and that was kind of, in some cases, the beginning run that OpTic ended up making. So I think they would have definitely got at least that first 2-point play in regardless.
Right.
But still, I mean, if you're Rise Nation, it's kind of like, okay, thank God we have a timeout. Let's try and reevaluate this one. Let's get the communication going. What mistakes did we make, and what do we need to improve on heading into a replay of this?
And while we find ourselves in this 2-0 situation of OpTic Gaming above Rise Nation, just want to give you a little bit of an off-stream update for any of the European fans that might still be out there watching, any of the North American fans that like the European teams too. Epsilon and Splice is currently going on, where we find Epsilon up 2-0. Now, that's a very similar situation from what we've seen in the past, where Epsilon was able to 3-0 Splice twice in the grand finals of a tournament. So that's a really big moment for those two teams.
It absolutely is, and of course, a lot of surprising results so far here at CWL Anaheim, and we'll see if Rise Nation can try and make another one of those upsets. Most likely not going to be the case, but we'll see what happens. Of course, we still got to have some faith in the Rise Nation crew, but either way, we'll see what can take place.
So, of course, we have the map review up on screen here. Just a quick recap. Again, we are 2-0 at the moment. OpTic Gaming looking to finishing things out here on Precinct Uplink. They're definitely no slouch when it comes to this game mode. But Rise Nation has the player of Aqua, our G Fuel key player, that can put up some impressive numbers, huge plays, and I think he's going to be a very high impact player with that NV4 too. That opening engagement that he lost to Crim6, of course not a very good sign of what's to come, but that's just one gunfight. I do expect him to be able to contribute throughout the remainder of this map.
And of course, as the players kind of reload, kind of refresh themselves, we'll obviously be seeing how that play most likely happens again. So when we load into the map, I want to go to Aqua's screen again and see if that gun engagement happens, and see if he can maybe try to win that one versus Crim6, kind of take away the mistakes he might have made in that particular first gunfight. But still, it is going to be difficult. Obviously, if you are the side of Rise Nation, of course, we did kind of talk about, you kind of mentioned as well, what they need to do to beat this OpTic Gaming side. It has to come from the slang. Aqua can't do it all alone. You know, we have shining moments from Felony in that hard point. We see good moments from Aqua at times. We see Facento going off at certain tournaments. It's great, but you all have to do it at the same time versus squads like OpTic Gaming, like squads versus Luminosity, and even teams from Europe like Epsilon and Luminosity, or excuse me, like Epsilon and Splice. You have to all be going off at the same time. It has to be a consistency thing. And if you're Rise Nation, it's just such a hard thing because, I mean, you guys are talented, of course. I mean, there's obviously no reason why they aren't here right now is for that exact reason, but you've got to be consistently great, and that's going to be the issue I think that they're going to have versus OpTic Gaming.
So I also wonder if we see the opening strategies change. I just have a hard time believing that Crim6 and Aqua go to the exact same positions, especially because the gunfight went down. Aqua lost it and it resulted in 2 points. I just have a feeling something's going to be switched up. Maybe someone will throw a different grenade and we'll see a different opening push. But let's talk a little bit more about these two teams in Uplink. I think it's really scary to have to go against an OpTic Gaming roster when all throughout Black Ops 3 in this game mode, they were so terrifying and known as a team that would capitalize on mistakes. Not once, but 2 and 3 times if they saw the opportunity to it. They're good at setting up for these spawn traps. They're good at manipulating what you can do and limiting your options so they can continue scoring over and over again. And we even saw a little glimpse of it there in the beginning of the pre-seek uplink.
Oh, yeah, I think that's what makes OpTic so good. I mean, we've seen very talented slaying teams kind of get that drone forward and obviously get the slaying done. But this team is so good at kind of setting up for the future plays, kind of realizing, hey, if we establish control, if Formal stays alive in this particular situation, if he doesn't shoot that player, kind of passes it over to his teammates to allow for future plays. That's what makes OpTic Gaming so good, because they play for the future. They play for what is to come, not what's in front of them at the moment.
And Lennon, that kind of foresight is what sets this team apart from so many competitors in Call of Duty esports. That's what sets OpTic Gaming at the top of so many different teams in the Call of Duty World League. So, with the most winningest player on the side of OpTic Gaming in the form of Crim6, we can see if they can close this series out or if Rise Nation can bounce back and show some signs of life.
Indeed, we will, of course. Early gun engagement starting to go down already. This time, OpTic Gaming not getting this much of a score off the start. We'll see what they can try and provide. Drone going to be in their possession for the moment. Aqua actually firing too, so kind of making a little bit of an improvement on that beginning first side. We're going to see that drone reset back toward middle. Early gun engagements going down. Both these teams playing with quite a bit of aggression.
Pacento waiting patiently around the corner here. He catches Crim6, who actually found a double kill, shooting 2 players in the back. Not a good situation to be in. As most of the kills go in favor of OpTic, just 1 player stands in Scump's way. He waits patiently around the corner, and Looney sprints into the drone carrier and is punished abruptly for it.
Crim6 is here with Scump. They can try to get this push to go down. Players entering inside a ticket. Scump tries to reevaluate the situation. Unfortunately, too many players, too much health, and that's going to end the offensive push that OpTic Gaming was trying to provide. Be expecting this area near statue to be a huge choke point for either of these squads, especially for the side of Rise Nation, to try and get this drone forward to. There's 1 point tosses off of that wall run, as well as those aggressive plays in using those signs as some cover. Felony picking up a big kill. That one actually going to be on Formal. Now switches over to the MV4, trying to be a lead blocker right now for his squad. Unfortunately, they can't actually grab the drone, and if they don't actually grab it soon, the drone's going to reset. Sento quickly realizing that, grabs that one and resets the drone armor as Rise Nation look to try and reevaluate this push.
Drone timer reset. Several OpTic players around the corner, so that's why they're not moving it up. They have to look for those kills, but they still can't find them. Formal, Scump turning the corner, gunning them down, and now on an offensive front with the drone of their own. One just around the corner in orange. That's not going to be an easy gunfight to win. A mid-range gunshot engagement from Felony onto Karma. He's going to come out on top of Formal, punishes them for that one. Scump putting some shots onto a second player as well. And really, just so many of these team fights are just going heavily in favor of OpTic. I mean, Pacento finds this double kill, but so many of these team fights, they start off winning.
They do indeed. We'll see if Rise Nation can try and rebound. No pun intended there, but the 1 point toss coming in. Will it follow through? And yes, it will. Beautiful shot actually coming in from Looney, receiving some shots from the side, but regardless, is able to fire in that 1 point play in the end. So nice plays there coming in from Rise Nation. Only a 1 point advantage, but still seeing some very aggressive play out of both these teams. I fully expect to see quite a few more of those scores before this first half concludes.
So we are seeing in the first 3 minutes of this game, Crim6 is currently sitting at 3-7. OpTic Gaming has had many moments where they've killed plenty of players on the side of Rise Nation and have not been able to capitalize it on a score. So credit to Aqua and the rest of the credit to Rise Nation and especially Aqua for their contributions in stopping those offensive plays.
Formal picking up that drone might have an opportunity to make a play happen, but the 2 versus 4 for the time when Formal had the drone in his hands, not going to work out for them on that front. Just under 2 minutes remain in this first half of some precinct uplink, and Felony trying to light it up. He'll actually go on a 3 spree.
That's big.
He's actually going to try and reset that drone in a smart play at that. Gets the call. There are quite a few OpTic Gaming players just around the corner from him. So a nice offensive play as far as the kills are concerned, and a nice defensive play getting that drone off the map.
And that's just the kind of communication you expect from a Rise Nation squad. They understand that they have to play the numbers game. They have to keep account for everyone on the map so that they can avoid making mistakes like dying and getting shot in the back and having them take over the drone. Offensive play coming up. Pacento lines up the shot, sinks it into the face of 2 OpTic players. And OpTic has yet to respond with any points on the board in the first 4 minutes of this uplink.
Yeah, clean 4 down is what OpTic Gaming got put on, and Rise Nation was able to make a play of it. Slang leading down to offensive plays. Now Karma with the drone in hand, making his way through middle street, having a few players in his line set, but doesn't have any lead blockers. Actually tries to go for the 1 point play, and Karma is actually able to get that one off. He has 3 players sitting in front of him, Fox, and he's still able to get the 1 point play off. That is That is an objective mastermind right there. That was a great play there coming in from Karma.
Yeah, and Aqua team killing Looney definitely added to the issue that OpTic Gaming was, that Rise Nation was faced with. That was the offensive front of OpTic Gaming. Now, Formal and Karma trying to make a difference here in the enemy base. Formal is still alive, watching that alleyway, but Looney shuts him down. Scump, though, is able to respond. Arm in the rim. Karma finds 2 more points. 30 seconds left in this half. There is enough time for another drive. OpTic is looking to make it happen, Landon.
Okay, Karma's starting to light it up in the base right now. Finds 3, can't find the 4th, but Crimsix is here. He wants at least 1 more play, but he wants the 2 at the end, and OpTic are going to continue to fire in a few more points toward the end of this first half. They're going to be up 5 points to 2. And the drone might not be ending here. Formal with that one, potentially trying to go for a last-second buzzer beater. The Rise Nation players are here, but can he get the 1-point toss off is the question, but no. Rise Nation finally will respond. And thankfully, a sweat off the brow type of situation if you are Rise Nation. A flurry of points there coming in at the end as OpTic Gaming after the first half will be leading 5-2.
And see, that's exactly what I was talking about. Once they get set up, if they're in any sort of a situation, a spawn trap, and continue to capitalize on that point, they're going to do so. OpTic Gaming was able to find that second dunk and almost found a third one. Unfortunately, lost the gunfights in the closing moments. But here they are in the second round with Elite Crimsix winning that opening engagement again.
That definitely looks familiar to our before our reset earlier on, but just as I say, that 4 go down immediately. Crimsix lighting it up, finding, I believe, around 4 kills for Crimsix to start the second half, and he's starting to light it up, trying to be a lead blocker right now for Scump, tries to extend the arm, passes it off, actually to Karma. Perfect communication, a great toss coming in, as that one's going to lead to a 2-point play, but on the other end, Felony, on the overextension with Rise Nation, they're not satisfied with that defensive loss. They're trying to make that one an offensive one, and a nice response, a great toss there coming in from Felony, as now it's going to be OpTic Gaming now up by 2 possessions.
Aqua right there had a big kill into Crimsix, who was sitting back and waiting for the drone to come in and wait for the interception and try and gun down the drone carrier. So excellent escort play by Aqua, and then of course we have Felony following it up with that 1-point play. Now OpTic Gaming finds himself on the offensive front, met by 3 Rise Nation players and a Scarab on the map. That's going to take down Karma, lighten their push a little bit in the drone carrier. That's Crimsix. He's well aware that he can't push it any further.
And Rise Nation flexing their muscles in some cases, trying to hold down the side of OpTic at least for right now. Of course, 3 minutes and 40 seconds left in the second half, potentially the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds of this entire series. Of course, if you are just joining us, OpTic Gaming took those first 2 maps, the Search and Destroy, as well as the hard point prior to that one. They're trying to close this one out in a 3-0 sweep. Remember, the loser of this match goes home. And Rise Nation, like I said, potentially only 3 minutes and 30 seconds away from leaving Anaheim empty-handed. And it looks like, speaking of hands, Crimsix now with the drone in his ones. Overdrive actually gets rocked, but is it going to be a wasted play? Tries to go for the 1-point play, not going to be there. Felony, the last person to try and stay alive. The rebound coming in from who? Nobody. Scump is going to be there. Can he get the dunk? Yes, he's going to fire this one in. The team fight won from the side of OpTic, and Scump fires in with a 2-point play along with the kill after. We talked about him being one of the key players to be watching out for into this uplink, and that's exactly why. Doing things on the objective as well as in the slang category, but the points will not end. Formal with a nice toss there as well. 10-3 OpTic now in prime control to most likely close out the 3-0.
Yeah, close that curtain. Rise Nation, it seems like they just ran out of steam. This entire series, their problem has been losing team fights. When there's 2 and 3 players all in the same engagement, OpTic Gaming comes out in a very clean way, and we're seeing it reflected here in the uplink score, 10-3. Rise Nation not able to respond. There's just no one winning the key engagements, and when you got Formal doing things like that with FTL jump, how do you even want to play the rest of the map?
Formal currently sitting at +7, trying to make it +8 there on Looney. Being a lead blocker right now for Scump, it might be too little too late, but OpTic trying to fire in as many points as possible. Crimsix, Karma, all of them responding in kills, and Scump just wants a 2-point play, and he's going to be able to fire that one in pretty easily thanks to that support coming in from his teammates.
Crimsix, have mercy. There's still 2 minutes left in the game. You don't have to be doing all this. You're leading by almost 10 points right now. We see another offensive play coming in from Rise Nation. There is enough time to come back. It's just incredibly unlikely with the way that Rise Nation is looking. They have access to the payloads. Some plays can come up. Let's not count them out just yet, but you really have to be looking at that scoreboard and thinking, how does OpTic Gaming screw this up?
Yeah, you most likely think that's not going to be the case. Of course, Looney with that overdrive can definitely lead to a 2-point play, at least at the
that was a good gunfight win right there.
At the end, and Aqua, of course, with that active camo as well. So they do have the major payloads to work, but Baloney is all by himself. Tries to go for the ball swipe. Actually misses 2, not 3 times, but might as well try to go for the 1-point play. Who cares? Felony, Facento are there, and despite missing 3, drone melees. He's able to get the 2-point play in regardless. So Rise Nation not out of this one just yet. It's just so unlikely that this one would go in their favor. Vicento now tossing that one over toward Aqua. He also uses the active camo. This is the 2 big payloads that they tried to eat and use, but no, it's not going to be there. OpTic is there on the defensive front, and Formal escaping with that drone right now.
Yeah, that was the desperation play right there. It was 2 versus 4 with OpTic Gaming all just ahead of them. I don't even think they would have sunk the 1-point play from that camo with all 4 players there in range for the interception. But with the clock ticking and working against Rise Nation, 45 seconds left to completely turn around what you guys have been doing this series. It's looking like OpTic Gaming is about to eliminate another North American roster.
Indeed it is. Last 35 seconds, and all Rise Nation can do is contemplate what exactly we did wrong. How did we lose to this team? How did it kind of come down to this? As it will be OpTic Gaming who is going to 3-0 sweep Rise Nation and advance themselves in CWL Anaheim. Rise Nation, unfortunately, we will be waving goodbye to them as OpTic Gaming will eliminate them. Rise Nation did have a good performance so far, though, at this tournament. Have to give massive credit to them. But it will be OpTic Gaming who does move on in this case.
OpTic Gaming eliminates our CWL Las Vegas champions in a 3-0 fashion, and what looked like a complete stop on the side of OpTic Gaming from Game 2 to Game 3. Rise Nation didn't look like they stood a chance at any point in time. There were some redeeming qualities where they had these big plays that would result in points, but it just wasn't enough. It seemed like OpTic Gaming was just, they didn't even have to put 100% into it at time, and they were just outgunning and outmanning Rise Nation at all times.
Yeah, honestly, OpTic Gaming just looked to be more like a complete team, I think it's fair to say, when it came down to it.
Easily.
I mean, at times, like you said, during the hard point, during the search and destroy, Aqua was trying to carry the load for his teammates, but it just wasn't enough. OpTic Gaming was just a more complete team when it came down to the overall selling ability and when it came down to their chemistry and their teamwork, I think it's fair to say.
Exactly. It was a much greater team effort from the side of OpTic Gaming. When you got superstars lining that talent, that talent lineup, it's really hard not to produce something like that. So we of course see OpTic Gaming taking down what was previously a championship caliber roster in a 3-0 fashion, and that's going to be the end of the series. It was a very solid performance out of Scump, our G Fuel key player in this matchup here. We saw Aqua having a few moments, but it seemed like he couldn't even get past Crimsix, who throughout this entire tournament, since he's picked up the NV4, has been a huge threat for OpTic.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that really quick as we get ready to head to a commercial break really fast. As far as the matches to actually be watching for the side of OpTic Gaming, of course, going to continue on through this losers bracket. When it comes into future matchups, how has that really changed the overall morale of this OpTic Gaming team, kind of switching Crimsix into the NV4 role?
Well, when you got players that are sort of more comfortable with their weapon as it compares to their role, there's just going to be greater synergy and greater production in terms of kills from all of them. I was talking to Crimsix actually before the tournament started this Thursday about what are some things we can expect in the meta this weekend, and he was saying, of course, you're going to see lots of ERADs. He was mentioning that with his team specifically, him and Formal needed to switch weapons because his words exactly were, "This is stupid. Why are you the NV4 if you're like the most aggressive maniac out of all of us, you know? Formal is someone you want to let have that versatility and move around the map, so why limit what he can do with the NV4?" And so we're seeing Crim6 and them switch up the weapons, and I gotta say, with that 12-0 map count and group phase, they're at least stomping teams that are definitely weaker than them with very little rebuttal.
And, of course, you guys can see really quickly the final score. We don't have to really go over it at that point. It's just a hot 3-0 coming in from the side of OpTic Gaming. And, of course, I believe they are going to be playing the winner of E6 and TK. I've yet to hear confirmation as to how that series is going, but if you are the side of OpTic Gaming, of course, you are still feeling pretty confident. I was actually in the green room with quite a few commentators kind of discussing, analysts as well, kind of going over things with Merc, TP as well, and kind of discussing things. And they were saying, this is by no means a run that OpTic Gaming can't make. I mean, they've had very difficult losers bracket runs in the past, but no offense, of course, to E6 or TK, but those are teams that are definitely beatable when it comes down to how OpTic Gaming plays. So if OpTic can kind of play that consistency, even use the roles that they've recently switched to, like you said, Crim6 rocking the MV4 as of late, Scump starting to make more happen, and Formal having incredibly consistent plays so far throughout the entire tournament. This could definitely be a loser's run where OpTic Gaming might not have too much of a problem.
The question is going to be, though, with this tournament starting off with so many easy matchups that OpTic Gaming should very easily win, will they bounce back and be able to take down those tougher opponents? When they were faced with Luminosity Gaming, they weren't able to do so. So, guys, we're going to cut to a commercial break as that series concludes, and we'll see you again shortly here on the Bravo stream with some more Call of Duty action.